Wedding photographers, ready to book more weddings and increase your sales? Let's get to it. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Blank Canvas. My name is Sal Sincata. I'm a wedding and portrait photographer based in O'Fallon, Illinois. And today we're going to explore some ways for you to increase your sales, book more weddings, and everything that goes along with it. So we've got three industry experts with us here today. First up is Chris Grande from Grande Photography, Meredith Reincars from Meredith Reincars Photography, and Alyssa Sincata from Salvatore Sincata Photography. Smoke show. All right. Anyway, let's get serious. You guys ready? Have some fun? You? How you doing, Alyssa?
Great.
Yeah?
I'm ready to talk about weddings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it with your little cowgirl outfit. You
Yeehaw.
just need yeah. Okay. Yeehaw. All right. So let's get started with the obvious. What's the, Meredith, we're going to start with you. First of all, actually, Meredith, tell us how long you've been shooting weddings.
I've been shooting weddings for 16 years.
That's a long time.
That's a long
I
time.
understand all too well. So we've been at this. January will be our 19th year in business, and it's a long time. I'm getting old. But let's start with the obvious. What's the biggest mistake you see photographers making right now when they're trying to book weddings?
Acting too thirsty online and desperate.
So, Meredith, you must be talking about the Facebook group posts where they're like, I'm looking for a wedding photographer. Does anybody know somebody? And then everybody gets tagged and it's desperation galore.
I mean, that's part of it. Yeah.
All right.
But it's now booking weddings in 2025. We all are.
Yeah.
All of us.
Literally everybody.
Shocking.
Yes. Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Yeah.
Yes. So just, they're too, I don't want to say aggressive because aggressive is not a bad thing, right?
No.
They're just too desperate.
You can smell the desperation through the social media. You smell it, and it's fear-based. It's that belief that there's not enough work out there for everybody, which is not true.
Right.
And it comes through in their marketing. It comes through in their online presence, and it turns potential clients away, at least the good ones.
Yeah. People are willing to spend money. Yeah. And fun fact, everybody, there's 2.1 million weddings in the United States every year. So there is plenty of fish out there to, that sounds like a dating ad, but it's not what we're looking for. But there's plenty of weddings out there for you. All right. So Chris, what are you seeing right now? What are the biggest mistakes some photographers are making when they're trying to book weddings?
That's obviously a huge one. I absolutely love that one. That's such a great take. I also think depending on planners can be an issue where, look, the planner has a budget that they have to meet, and photography really doesn't happen. I mean, they don't enjoy the photos until after the wedding's over. The planner cares about the flowers, the music, the food. The last thing the planner cares about is photography. You have to advocate for yourself as a photographer beyond these planners that are trying to fit a budget and trying to cut costs as much as possible. And photography is going to be the first cost that they're going to try to cut.
I know this is going to be like, I'm probably going to get some hate for what I'm about to say, and it's probably a hot take for sure. Yeah,
hot takes. Let's
go.
Let's
do it.
Get in the comments.
I am not a fan of planners, of working with planners. I don't like dealing with them. And I have to say that and put a little asterisk there because over the years, I've met a handful of planners that I think are just absolutely phenomenal. They respect what we do, right? They don't try and micromanage what we're doing, and they don't step on our toes, and we respect them back. But I find that to be few and far between. So that's just my take on it. I'd rather learn how to fish, right, than have somebody handing me over weddings. It's always great to get a referral or two, but to think that I'm going to run half my business on just somebody feeding me versus having to go out there and market and go to bridal shows and things like that, I think that's a crazy way to run your business. Miss Alyssa, what's the biggest mistake?
Why do you have to do this?
I mean, you're my wife. I can do whatever I want.
All right.
What is the biggest mistake photographers are making right now when they're trying to book weddings?
I think it's lack of authenticity and trying to be everything to everyone instead of just honing in on your brand, your experience, making it truly yours. They're trying to pull little pieces from everybody online and be something that's just confused, and so the message is confusing.
Are
to
you
the
talking
brides.
about from a perspective of like their actual photography or just
Yeah,
like
their
aesthetic?
Well, I'm kind of okay with a little bit of like a mixed style with wedding photography specifically, because there are parts of the day where you can be dark and dramatic and cinematic, but there are other parts that should be light and airy.
Right.
More so in your online presence, your brand that you're portraying to a client. Are you a luxury wedding photographer? Are you more of a budget wedding photographer? Are you, there are niches. Did I say that right? I never
Niches?
know. Niche. I don't know how to say this word. But there are specific genres inside of wedding photography. Like we were talking with our planner a few weekends ago. There are like weddings where people specialize in murder mystery weddings. There are Disney weddings. Like hone in on that, own it, and
Right.
stay consistent in that. And I think you're going to have a better chance to book more brides or more of your type of client.
I agree with you on the stick with your style. You know, when I got to the St. Louis metro market many years ago, my style has always been big, dramatic, dark, and I was told by my peers in the market, "You'll never be successful. That's not what they want here." Well, nothing could be further from the truth,
Surprise.
right? Surprise. We happened to be very successful and grew our business there because it was different. People wanted different. They didn't want to look the same as everybody else. So, but if you went to our website, there wasn't a confusing message there, right? It was
Visual.
like, here's who we are. You love us, hire us. You don't love us, it's okay. I'm looking for a handful of weddings a year. I'm not looking for 2,000 weddings every year.
No.
So if I can find 20 or 30 people a year who like my work, I mean, again, there's 2.1
But real
million
quick,
weddings.
think about it as an artist, as the photographer. If your style is dark and dramatic and you start to pigeonhole yourself into trying to be a light and airy photographer for a client to please a bride that didn't come to you because they like dark and dramatic, you're going to feel stifled as an artist. You're not going to enjoy your job. You're not going to enjoy, there's no creativity on your part because you're not doing what you love.
Yeah, you got to love it. I mean, you're spending 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
On a wedding day, you've got to absolutely love it. I'm going to throw you guys a little curveball here. What are your thoughts, right? Because we're talking about, like, you guys keep talking about marketing and planners. Mm-hmm. What's your thought? How does the world of social media impact booking weddings today, right? Like your Instagram account, your Facebook account. How's that changing things for you, Chris? What are your thoughts there? Whether it's you or what you're seeing in the industry happen.
Well, I mean, let's take a look at Taylor Swift and her engagement photos. And she didn't tag who the photographer was. It could be her mom or her sister or whatever, but they weren't the best photos I've ever seen in the world, but she is a trendsetter. So are brides now going to want that same style of photo because Taylor Swift had it?
God, I hope not.
Yeah, right. Well, all of us in the professional world are like, please, God, no.
Right.
But these are things that are happening that we're, and if you're a photographer who is out there chasing trends like you were talking about and not being authentic to who you are, you're going to just be all over the place. And then the person who's wedding that you went after just because there was some trend and then you couldn't deliver on what their vision was, and it's not your vision either, they're just going to slam you on social media. This happened not too long ago to the sepia bride that was all over the place.
Do I remember this?
Yeah, there was all sorts of drama about like her tone. The toning on her images were super brown,
orange, but it was some influencer who had her wedding and all the images were orange, which was a trend that was going on.
Right.
And you saw her
she
work
was
ahead
upset
of time.
about it. Yeah.
Right.
So that's where social media, I am who I am. My photos are going to be how they are. And what I have on social media is going to be there, and people who gravitate to it will, but it's not going to be all over the place. And I'm not going to get caught in this social media battle of, people who just love slamming things online for the sake of slamming things online.
Yeah. The timing of trend changes is insane, right? Like we've all, as kids or even as adults, seen those charts where it's like the adaptation of like radio in households, right? VCRs in households, and how quickly technology is being adopted, when a new TV comes out or a new cell phone comes out, let's say. What's happening now on social media, I feel like trends are every 2.5, 3 weeks, there's some new trend that's coming up, or right. And I sound like an old person here, but like
when I was a kid,
we just had one word we used. It was neato. But like now it's like I'm trying to keep up with like trends that they're saying, slang that they're saying. And I've never felt more out of my depth than I feel now.
Yeah.
It just seems like every 2 or 3 weeks it's changing. What are your thoughts?
So I'm not huge on posting social media. I don't post for our brand, but I can speak from like when we were getting married, we knew exactly who we wanted to shoot our wedding. So I wasn't in a search for a photographer, but I think there's something to be said. It's twofold. I think Instagram is probably better than Facebook, and it should be, if you're a wedding photographer, it should be used to showcase your work in an inspirational way. And I think there's something to be said about a cohesive feed that looks very similar and it's just visually pleasing as you're scrolling through. And then maybe you use your stories or your reels to show your personality.
So I have to push back on you here a little bit because, well, I agree with you because I think it looks better as a visual artist. We like the way it looks. Yeah. But the reality is Instagram isn't serving that up.
Right.
So
but what is Instagram serving up today? And then in 2 weeks,
that's the point of the trends, right? What Instagram is serving up is the stupid shit
but if you're
of
a bride,
like me doing, no. Like let's say there's, it's like stitches. Like if I want to start making fun of my brides, I can do that. And that's going to, I know you shouldn't do it, but
you get a lot of views. You won't
Hard
get a lot
pass.
of clients.
but that's my point,
pass.
right? So I feel like photographers are falling into this trap of like trying to go, dare I say viral, right? So they're trying to go viral. And about, I don't know, just recently, you and I have just had this like mindset where it's like, am I going to make more money because I go viral? Am I going to book more clients? I think it's quite the opposite. Our caliber of clientele, and I'm going to assume yours as well, they might get a chuckle out of that, but they're not going to book me because I made some stupid stitch video. You know what I mean? Like that you're seeing all these trends happen. I think I think it's bad news. I don't know what you guys think.
I guess I'm not talking about going viral. I'm talking about if you're a bride and you are actively searching for a photographer, you need to use your Instagram page kind of like Pinterest, but it's like all dedicated to you. So I would get lost in dress designers pages, just scrolling through their feed.
But that's where I'm going with this.
Searching for it though.
I think what photographers are trying to do is get found. So you do go look at my page.
Yeah.
And their attempts at getting found, which might work today, but might not work in a month from now because the trends change, is they're relying on these kinds of like viral clips that they're trying to make.
Right.
But I feel like those clips they're trying to make get them off brand.
Yeah.
And the people who have money, this is just my opinion, do with it whatever you want, I feel like are not going to come to you when they see that, right? Because it's a turn off for more people than it's a turn on, if you will.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's my
So then, sorry, I got to ask you this. How do you get people,
I thought I asked the
but
questions.
I'm the interviewer now. We're switching.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
So how do you get people to get to your page then? I mean, are hashtags even a thing anymore on Instagram?
Hashtags don't work anymore. That's not a thing. The CEO of Instagram has already said that in an interview that I think he laughed at it when he talked about it. I don't know. Is it for us? What we do in our business is we put money behind ads. That's how we know we're going to land in front of the right people. And I would rather do that. That feels better than trying to just make hokey videos that may or may not even attract the right audience. And I'll give you guys a perfect case in point. We made a video. It was for my YouTube channel, and it was, how to pose women, I think was the video. And we took a snippet of that and made an Instagram reel out of it. That particular reel, if my memory serves me correctly, it's the most viewed reel on my Instagram page, got over almost 700,000 views. I don't have anything else on my Instagram. I guess that's viral, right? Ooh, congratulations. You know what I didn't do? Book a single freaking client from that video. Yeah. Right?
You got a lot of hate for that.
I got a lot of hate for that.
That's why it went viral.
Who does he think he is to tell her that he's a misogynist? And then he slapped her ass. And then I'm like, it's my wife.
Yeah. I can do that.
Yeah, I can do that. Anyway, that's kind of my point. It didn't help us make more money. It didn't help inquiries. None of that stuff.
I mean, you just did that 30-day trial of Reels.
Yeah.
And it has done nothing. We posted every single day, sometimes multiple days, a reel. It was just Reels, not posts.
Right, just Reels.
1 or 2 per day for 30 days and nothing.
Zero.
We got a lot of people unsubscribing, and it kind of countered.
Yeah,
it balanced
we had
out
new subs and unsubs, and it was negligible. So I'm like, why are we doing this?
Yep.
It's not helping us. Anyway, we have rambled on,
Sorry.
Meredith. We got a timeline here. So what, I don't even know what we're talking about. What strategies have actually worked for you? Is that the question?
That's the next question.
What's strategy?
I don't know. You're in charge here.
Yeah.
I've
You're the one
lost-
asking the question.
I have lost control of this group. What's the biggest mistake photographers are making right now when it comes to booking weddings?
Biggest mistake?
Yeah.
We talked about that one
No,
earlier.
no.
I'm sorry, guys.
I can give you.
What is it? Question number 2. What
Yeah.
strategies have worked to
Yeah.
attract the right kind of clients?
No,
Yeah.
we'd gone around the whole.
No, Meredith didn't answer that one. I started
Yeah,
with
she
you.
started.
Yeah.
she
You
started
talked
that one.
social media. You didn't even go to that one. You talked social media.
All right. Maybe this is my last show. I don't know. How about we talk pricing?
Okay.
Let's start with you, Alyssa.
Okay.
How can photographers raise their sales averages without scaring off potential clients? That's actually a really good question. Photographers are always afraid to raise prices because they're afraid they'll lose their existing clients.
That's fair. I think you kind of have to be willing to do that if you want to raise your prices. But you've talked about this a lot, actually, I think, on these episodes, is you can't just raise your prices. You have to completely change your experience. I'm assuming you're talking about like being a middle level photographer.
Sure.
Price
Average
wise.
wedding photographer in the United States charges about $2,500 to $2,800
Okay.
on average.
Okay.
So obviously, if you're swimming in that price point on your averages, you're dealing with a lot of competition.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's go to the extreme. Raise your wedding prices to $20,000. You're in the top 10th of 1%, of probably even clients
Right.
At that point. So of course there's, ebb and flow to that. But yeah, if you're playing in that $2,500, $2,800 range and you want to start moving up tiers, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Or how do you overcome the fear?
Right. So assuming you're in that $2,500 average range and you want to bump up into the more luxury client price range, you have to provide a luxury experience. What does that mean? Your products have to be better. Your communication has to be on point. You cannot be somebody that just sends an email like, here's your timeline for the day, and that's kind of it. Your touch points have to be text messages, have to be handwritten thank you cards, gifts. You have to make them feel like they should never question spending that amount of money with you. So that
Give
I
them
think,
a reason to
yeah,
say yes.
that's the only way you can you can't just raise your prices.
I agree. Meredith, what about you? How can photographers, what some advice we can give them on how to raise their prices or sales averages without scaring away their potential clients?
So
and in this case, weddings, right? It might be
yeah.
like I shot your wedding and then it's your sister's wedding or some of the bridesmaids' weddings, and how do we do that?
Yeah. So we raised our prices in the middle of the shutdown. And we were able to do that and do it successfully because we had built the scaffolding underneath it and didn't immediately feel that pain and that pressure of people going, oh, no, because we had built out our referral sources that were in that price point that we had moved up to. So a lot of photographers who are shooting weddings are just going, oh, I'm gonna yank my prices up. Somebody said to do that at a conference. And then they don't, have the imagery to support it, the experience to support it, and they don't have the referral sources. For us, our wedding industry, for us, has been built off of planners, off of venues, off of people that we know that we've worked with that go, okay, we trust you with our clients, and so we're going to refer you. And if we had done that without that scaffolding, we would have failed and fallen on our faces.
Yeah, that makes sense. Chris, what about yourself?
So I love like touch points and emails, and turnaround times is huge. You have to be able to have, a really quick turnaround time. If you have a 2-week turnaround time and you're going against a photographer who has a 6-month turnaround time,
Sure.
you're going to book that wedding. Like, people will pay for convenience, and the sooner you email them, the sooner you get your photos back to them, the better. But you have to be able to afford to do that. If you're a photographer who has, let's say, 24 weddings a year, so you have 2 weddings a month or more in the busy season, and you're charging $2,500 a month, and you're 3-4 weddings behind in delivering that, if you double your price to $5,000 and, oh no, I lost 12 of those, now I only have 12, well, you made the same exact amount of money, but now you have more time to deliver better service to the ones you do have.
Work less,
and
make
then
more.
From then, you will build more of those clients who will pay that money. So my advice is to not be afraid to lose clients. You're going to lose clients. You're supposed to lose clients.
Yeah, that's true. They can't all be on the journey with you.
Hey, can I weigh in real quick?
Yeah.
There's one more thing. As you are pushing into from the mid-range to the higher level price point, you should simplify your product as well. So having too many options, you become the Denny's menu. You
Like the
overwhelm
Cheesecake Factory.
Exactly. You just overwhelm your clients with decisions, and that's just not a good place to be for a luxury market. And album design, just do it for them. 99% of our clients don't want anything to do with selecting images. Just that's part of our experience.
Especially higher end clients.
Yes, they don't have time
for that.
Yeah.
So Meredith, let's come back to you here, and I feel like we just did a good lead into it. How important is the client experience between the inquiry and the booking, and what touch points make the biggest difference in getting them to say yes to book you?
Answering the questions that they're going to have before they ask them, because that builds that trust before they've ever booked you. They feel comfortable and confident that when they do book you, you're not going to ghost them because you've already answered a lot of those pain points for them. For us, having that in that consultation via Zoom versus just shooting off a PDF and going, here you go. It feels like it is a higher touch versus a, trying to think of the right word, commodity, which I never want to be considered.
Not at that price point, right?
Heck no.
So Chris, what about yourself? What's the, between inquiry and booking, what touch points do you feel make the biggest difference in getting the client to say yes?
Being authentic. We've talked about that a number of times. Letting them know your experience level, and like, look, this is a wedding. This isn't a family portrait session. This is a senior portrait session. You get one shot at this. You have to let them know that they can trust you, that you're not going to drop the ball during their wedding. So the more that you can explain to them, like Brandy and I shoot weddings together. We've been shooting weddings together for 15 years. I let them know when you're walking down the aisle, Brandy is focused on photographing you. My job is to be locked to the look on the groom's face, to get the moment that he almost cries. And that's going to be in your album. And people go like, oh, I didn't even think about of course you want to see the look. You're looking at the groom's face, but everyone else in the church is looking at you. My job is to look at him so you can remember that moment. Right. So the more that you can be like, no, this isn't my first rodeo. I've done this before. Figure out your system and let them know we have a system. And it's a trustworthy system we've been using for 15 years. And your wedding is in safe hands with us. Yeah. The more you can make them feel safe about that, the better.
I love it.
That's great.
Alyssa?
What is the question exactly again? So I can make sure I answer this right.
Yeah. How important is the client experience between the inquiry and the booking? So from the time that phone call or email comes in to the time we get them to say yes, what are we doing to... how many touch points, or what's the most important one to get them to say yes?
I think the number one most important thing, and I want you to tell the story, is speed of response. It's going to close the deal no matter what. So I have my example of where I completely dropped the ball and we lost the job. And then you have yours.
You don't want to talk about that one?
I want you to tell the good one first.
You tell
or
the
maybe
good
we'll
one?
tell the bad first.
Tell the bad one,
okay.
And then everybody will forget the bad one and they'll remember the good one.
So we shot this wedding, and it was an incredible wedding, a huge dollar wedding. And we do a slideshow at the reception, and you've got your logo up and everybody's crying. And then this guy comes up to us afterwards, and he's like, I'm engaged and we're still looking for a photographer. You give him your card. You're like, reach out to me. We'll get you to come. You and your fiance to come in. We'll go over everything together. He reaches out. You respond immediately. You have me copied on it. And you're like, Alyssa, get a date on the book. It got lost in my inbox. And it was about probably 7 days before I even got back to him. And I responded and I was like, I totally dropped the ball. I'm so sorry. And he's like, yeah, you did. And we booked someone else. And it was just awful. So respond immediately.
Yeah.
That helps. Keep your inbox clear so that doesn't happen.
And I've never been the same since.
Yeah. And it would have been such a good wedding. They were so cute.
Yeah. I mean, it happens, right? And it's unfortunate. So, but the flip of that, the good story to really drive this point home is there was a wedding, and I still love telling the story because we're friends with this couple still to this day. They're both in DC. She's an attorney. He owns his own contracting company. And she reaches out. It's probably 10 o'clock at night. And I respond back within like 5 minutes, right? And she responds right back again. And she's like, oh my God, I've been reaching out to photographers for over a week. You're the first person to respond to me. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. I'm like, sorry to hear that. Why don't we jump, at the time, there was no real Zoom. I'm like, why don't we jump on a Skype call and go through this? And she's like, well, I don't have Skype. I'm like, no problem. I'll jump on a phone call with you and I'll help you install it. And I did. So I get on a phone call with her, right? There was no FaceTime or anything like that yet. And I get her to install Skype, and I do my first ever, presentation online because she's still in DC at the time. And I'm like showing her my albums and all of this stuff. Not only does she ends up booking the wedding. It was an Indian wedding. The entire wedding, they spent over $25,000 with our studio. Not only that, they have come back to us every 2 or 3 years like clockwork for family pictures. Each time, $3,000-$4,000 sale, right? So we were talking about this on another episode, lifetime value of a customer. And of course, now they've actually become friends with us. And that's, to me, when I heard her say she's reached out to this many other photographers, I think how many other photographers lost out on this $25,000 wedding, right? I mean, it's just crazy to even think about, and that's how it goes. So response time, I think, is one of the most important things you can do as a photographer to book more in that time frame. All right, so Chris, right, do you use in-person consultations or online proposals to close weddings? I have a feeling we're going to get some different answers from you three.
We do in-person consultations for weddings specifically. Just because it's a large investment. They're not coming in for, a $200 session fee for family portraits. This is a wedding. They're spending $4,000 or $5,000. And there's a whole process, to the wedding. We want to get to know them. We want to know, are you doing a first look? Are you not doing a first look? Are they a good fit for us? If they come in and they're just horrible people, like me and Brady are like, we're not doing this one,
Kicking each other under the table.
Under the
Wrap
table.
it up.
Ow. Okay, got it. Yeah. So like we're vetting them as much as they're vetting us. Really, do I want to take on a wedding? Is a lot of work. Like I want to know this is a wedding that I want to take on, and I know that I'm going to be dealing with this couple for a year, maybe.
Yep.
If we're doing their engagement session really early, it could be a year plus of designing their album afterwards. If they're super indecisive. All of this, is mom with them? Is mom an absolute terror? Like, you just don't know. But
I've had plenty of those stories.
We're vetting them as much as they're vetting us. But being able to physically hand them our album. Every photographer has album listed on their price sheet. But like, okay, there's a difference between my album and someone's press printed book that they have. So I want you to feel that book and
so let me focus your answer, because I agree with you. Yes, but what's the number one thing you're doing to convert them to say yes? When you're in that sales room with them, how are you getting them to yes? What do you feel like that number one thing is? What's the nugget?
The biggest thing is asking them how they feel about it, and what are your what is the one thing that's might prevent you from saying yes today. Figure out what that is and answer it on the spot. Like they came to your studio. You have them there. They took the time out of their day to come see you. They're ready to book a photographer. So figure out ask them what their qualms might be with, what's your number one concern? How can I answer that question for you? And get them to like, okay, like we're here, you're here, like you're going to pick someone and I've answered all your questions. Is there anything else that would prevent you from booking me? Then let's book,
Chris is very politically correct in his way. You married to an Italian, you're a little bit more aggressive, right? You grab him by the neck and you're like, you're going to sign this contract.
Yeah, that's definitely my personality.
Okay.
Yeah. I married the Italian, so I must be like that.
Yeah. It's kind of rolls down.
Not the yin and the yang at all.
No, not at all. All right. So anyway, being serious, what's what works for you in the sales room in closing?
I would say it's less about closing. It's about, we sit down, we offer them wine, tell us about your day. How'd you guys meet? And it's just like getting to know them. And I feel like we, like you said, you either have a connection with them or you absolutely are like, oh, God, get me out of here. But
to be fair, we don't have to be best friends with them. We just want to shoot their wedding.
Yeah, and so much of that initial meeting is like getting to know their story and letting them feel heard for like 30 minutes before you even show them a product. Like,
I think that's very important. Like, just so we all know, like when a client comes in, we're sitting at a round table just like this, and there's nothing on the table. There's no albums. There's nothing to distract them. We really do just go, thanks for coming in. Tell us a little bit about your day. And then we just kind of shut up.
We tell stories and we get to know like the things that they're into. So then let's say they're into golf. We can be like, oh, well, we're members at this golf course. We could totally do your engagement session here if you want. it's just
Was that a flex?
It was an opportunity for you to talk about golf because
I
I teed it up for you.
That's
that was good, right?
That's really good. All right, keep going. I'm sorry.
But I think every vendor in the wedding industry is so quick to sell, and they're so quick to close the sale, and it always
nobody wants
reeks
to feel
of desperation.
Yes, desperation, and no one wants to feel pressure.
No,
right?
especially if you're getting ready to be like yes to $10,000, you don't want it to be like, hi, welcome in. Here's what we offer. Here's how much it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes or no.
Yeah, I think that's fair. People, we have to all be realistic that when somebody comes in, they're looking at other photographers. It's kind of delusional not to think they are. Maybe every once in a while you got somebody who's like, I've always wanted you. We've all had those clients, but for the most part, we know they're
mostly they come in saying that about me.
Yes,
yeah.
for you for sure. Meredith, what's working best right now?
So you were asking
from initial inquiry to book, like getting them to say yes.
That proposal versus that.
Yeah, are you doing proposals online? You'd mentioned like you're doing online consultations,
okay.
right?
So most of
a little bit different slant.
Most of the clients that I'm working with do not live in Savannah, and so having an in-person consultation it doesn't work. So for those that are coming to me before they have booked a planner, then we're doing a Zoom call with everybody that is a decision maker. So I don't have to have them going back and saying, well, I have to go ask my dad, or I have to go ask my mom, or my fiance, or whatever the case may be. They're all on that call. And for getting to yes on a call without a planner, I am asking them, what keeps you up at night? What is the nightmare thing that you are worried about? And then really asking them, where do you see the things that are happening on your wedding day 5 years, 10 years down the road? What's going to be the most important thing to you? Because obviously that's going to be photos and memories. But for anything that's coming in from a planner, we're doing a customized online proposal because we're not in that consultation with them. And oftentimes I don't talk to that client until after they've booked and they've paid and signed that contract. And I'm trusting that those referral partners know me, know who I am, know how I work. And so the people that they're sending me have always been phenomenal clients. So that's two ways to kind of go about those.
Yeah, I like that as well. So last question for everybody, and we're going to start with you, Alyssa. We hear a lot about adding value to increase your sale, whether that's the initial booking or post-wedding event, and just increasing our sales average. Add value, add value, add value. But what does that actually look like for the business? How do we add value and avoid just giving more but feeling like we're being taken advantage of? How do we add value for our customers?
We do it in many different ways. So I would say starting with the engagement session that's included in the package, we offer travel destination shoots where we don't charge them extra for it.
We just came back from Chicago and we shot an engagement shoot up there, no extra fee.
Right. So what we'll typically do, because we are traveling so much throughout the year, is we send them our locations and our dates. And if you can meet us there, there's no extra fee. If you want us to go to Dallas for the weekend and we're not already planning to be there, all you need to do is pay for his ticket and one night hotel. So we make it as easy as possible, because we know that if they're going to do a destination session, they're going to put all this energy, all this money into wardrobe and the details. Why are they not going to buy those pictures?
It's very rare that a client will travel to a city with us. And by the way, travel doesn't have to be, an international trip. Like for us from where we are in Illinois, Chicago's 4 hours.
Nashville's 4 hours.
Right. Nashville's 4 hours. Right. So these are cities that we can get to quick, but for the couple, it's something different. It's an added value. Yep. And just to add to that, I'm going to add to your added value.
And I'm going to add on top of that. I got more.
Okay.
We add a lot of value.
All right. Slow down.
At Salvatore Sincata Photography.
Just adding value. One of the things we do as well is, when you meet with your couples, we're already talking about their timeline. And during the initial consult, because they're trying to figure out how much time do I need? Is it 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours? We don't believe in just the asterisks all day coverage. That gets squirrely fast. Yeah. So our top package has 10 hours. So a lot of times we'll have clients where the way they're laying out their day or the locations, it's looking like maybe a 12-hour day or a 13-hour day, right? So it's 3 extra hours. But let's be honest. I'm not doing anything with those extra 3 hours on their wedding day. Where am I going at 9 o'clock at night? So what we'll do to add value for the client so they feel like they're getting a deal is I'll say something to them like, look, your day's shaping up to be a 13-hour day. That's going to be in our black label, which is only 10 hours. Each additional hour is $500 an hour. What I can do is if you book this black label, we'll give you those extra 3 hours for free. So there we've added value. The couple feels like it's a give-get. Everybody's happy. So that's a way of doing that. Meredith?
For us, it is not nickel and diming them on additional photographers. So if logistically something changes, I already have it in my profit margins, knowing what I can and can't do. And I will add it in and go, you don't have to worry about it.
Nice.
That needs to happen. It's done.
How do you communicate that with the couple? Or how does it even come up? Do they know they need an extra photographer, or you're just looking at the coverage?
So we have a call 90 days out from their wedding day to go through a family shot list, timeline. Oftentimes that's with a planner, and we're starting to see that they need something added on here, or groom is now getting ready in one location and bride is in another, and they booked 2 photographers, and now they're needing a third because they need the reception covered at the same time. Logistically, it has to happen. So no problem. We're going to add that in because that's what's needed to get the job done.
That's awesome. Yeah, cool way to add value, and you're still covered. Chris, take us home. How are you adding value?
I mean, we've learned so much from you guys over the years, and doing timelines and things like that. We do all that. We still have the Client for Life in our top package. For those of you who don't know what Client for Life is, if you book our top wedding package, you get a free session with us once a year, every year, for as long as we're in business. And
you're really supposed to say, if you're following what I've taught you, until I die.
Until I die, yeah.
Once I die, it's over.
Party's over.
Because we started our business in DC, and we still have clients that we fly back out to DC to do if they call it, they don't do it every year, but every couple of years we'll be like, hey, can we do another? Yeah, of course we'll come out to DC and do a session for you.
Best clients ever.
If they bought your top package for wedding, like, they're a good client.
Yep.
Like, they're going to buy from you again. So why wouldn't I just invite them back? And that $200 session fee, like, I don't care about that. I'm going to make a $3,000 family session sale or maternity session sale off of you in the future. So I'll throw that $200 out the window all day.
Exactly.
For that. And they feel like they're real VIPs at that point.
Yep.
Where they're like, this is my photographer that I have on retainer for the rest of his life. There's not much more value than that. But also just speaking about what you're just doing questionnaires with them and asking everything about their wedding, whether that's a call 90 days out or just having a questionnaire where you're like, hey, what are things I need to know? Because there's a lot of times where, like, in the what do I need to know about your family, mom and dad will not be in the same room together. So like when it's come times for family photos, it's not like, mom and dad, I need you. Like, no. Like now you've made the whole room awkward.
Right. Mom and dad, let's give each other a kiss.
So you're just understanding that you're letting them know, like, hey, I have your whole day undercover. I'm not going to let any awkward situations happen. Let me know all the details. We're happy to be there and just be that trusted advisor for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it's been an awesome discussion, guys. Everybody watching home, again, another special thanks to H&H Color Lab for making this happen. There's been another episode of Blank Canvas. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've gotten a nugget of information out of it. And again, special thanks to Chris, Meredith, and Alyssa for joining us on the episode. We will see you in the next show.